This is the Aquarian. There is an anime that I came across. I got into anime like a year ago, maybe a little longer, around COVID, and I love it. And they put so much esoteric stuff in it. You just Kabbalah, which comes from India, Tibet. 500 BC is when Buddhism was. As far as Judea being purely separated from other Canaanite, Babylonian, Mesopotamian religions, I go maybe as oldest in a sense of because we see in the Old Testament how it doesn't have that sense of monotheism. Really, it's henotheism, which is one God these people chose, created through amalgamation of others, and then make it their tribe's God. Now, does a God exist because somebody just creates it, makes it up? In the world of ideas, which are... So if your belief system has a hell, then that hell exists for you, I think. Does this world exist without you? These are good questions. All up for different answers. As long as they don't include the dehumanization of another person because they are somehow less chosen. Now, Theosophy. I had a question in my last video about the annihilation, the soul annihilation. Woo. In Theosophy, they talk about, and in esoteric astrology, which comes from the Theosophy, mainly the writings of Alice A. Bailey, as I think interpreted perhaps originally from Madame Blavatsky and her interactions with the Tibetan DK. That could all just been a fictitious character she made up. But the esoteric, whoever came up with it knows astrology deeply. And it was influenced by the East. I'm always interested in where this stuff are. Okay, so Theosophy talks about the personality needing to be evolved into the soul, which has this idea that the soul, this is common to Christianity as well, actually. The soul is created upon in the work of a life of a person. So it's almost like we're born with that seed of a soul, and through the zodiac is the coming together of that with the elements of, as earth being the vessel for it. But in the same way, the soul is kind of a vessel for the spirit. Lots of people, and then the differentiation. So I think the soul and the spirit come together and it's light that comes in at the moment of conception, or it's a spark that's ignited between these two energies that come together, giving us a separate, unique energy that was created at conception. And then did a soul get birthed out of that? Or is a soul enter in to take it on? Which the soul is like the water is a feminine thing. So like the earth, when the light comes to it, the earth creates the soul. So what about reincarnation? Those are souls who are still going around in the Earth, Moon to Saturn matrix, our galaxy, solar system. So there's even ideas, theologies that have multiple, that one person can have multiple souls. That's crazy. I mean, do we bring our ancestors along with us? So reincarnation, because Theosophy does believe in reincarnation, that would be, but then did that soul always exist? At what conscious level? That's another thing we go into. Consciousness, which is awareness, which has to do with light as well. What does the light do? It brings consciousness. It just shows us something. But what's dark? When we sleep, are we unconscious? When we're unconscious, do we cease to exist? I don't know, the ancient Egyptians, and well, more so the Greeks, through Hermetic teachings, the number one rule is the mind is all. Capital A-L-L. And I think capital M, and capital M-I-N-D, mind. Which has the idea that we're all part of the cosmic mind. That everything that we see is the product of a mind that got split up into different fractals, and some elements of the mind at a certain conscious level, namely mineral, vegetable, animal, and then human. So there's so much mysteries. Then these Masons think that they have the ultimate, and all the religions, but especially this hidden secret knowledge of Kabbalism. They do, of how reality really is. And I think it's like related to that all is mind. And so the idea of you have the keys to the kingdom of heaven. What you bind on earth is bound in heaven, and vice versa. There's power. I say you can only repent, Christian idea, while you're living. Really emphasizing, I think, the highlighting the beauty and the gift that is life. But then look at people who get born into a life of abuse, like from the get-go. Child slavery, whatnot, or just suffering a violent death of a child. Could there be beauty in suffering? Yeah, but what in that specific horrible, violent, evil thing? I guess in Orthodox Christianity, this guy who was interviewed on The Crucible, who interviewed Adam Green from No More Religion on YouTube, they Greek Orthodox think that that evil is just an illusion. And that kind of relates to the whole. So then, is God? I mean, is good also an illusion? This has to go to the duality concept. But is evil the opposite of good? Just the absence of good? No, because you could just be neutral in the middle and not be fucking evil, and not necessarily doing anything good. Or can you? So that would mean just being neutral could just be good. Very philosophic today. The sun's still got another week left in my seventh house. Perhaps the third degree of the seventh house, allocated to Libra, is more philosophical in nature. During this, Libra is your one-on-one relationships. So the seventh house, assigned to Libra, ruled by Venus. Venus is relationships. It's also friendship, beauty. But then so is Aquarius in the 11th house. The 11th house, Aquarius, is maybe the best house in the zodiac, tied with the 9th house, Sagittarius, 5th house, Leo. It's like fun. But yeah, and so what's the opposite of the 11th house of Aquarius? Leo. The 5th and 11th houses, those are great. The 6th and the 12th houses, Virgo and Pisces, the worst houses, my friend. That's why it's the Kali Yuga, an Eastern concept adopted by the Theosophists, present but hidden mostly, thanks to the Catholic Church, but not veiled behind the mask of, or perverted by Christianity. It was created to do. Christianity was created to mislead. They took the model of an ancient mystery school and made one for everyone, thanks to Paul. And so that everyone, because they saw how people in Rome at the time were big into the mystery school of Mithras, which was more to the east as well, Persia. There's a Mitra in India. I'm not sure which one came first, but probably India. Language, Sanskrit, is Proto-Indo-European, Aryan. And the Buddha, he's got blonde hair and freaking blue eyes. the Aryan race is dumb. But there are efforts to totally wipe out like history. So the Aryan is Aries, the first race, the first sign of the zodiac. So then the story about Jacob, who later became Israel, deceiving Abraham, which relates very much to Brahma, Brahma and his consort Saraswati, Abraham to Sarah, and other parallels. There's a lot of Eastern parallels in Judaism, by golly. And that's not so hard to imagine. These things aren't that far apart. Now, the concept of, let me just finish that last thought. So, Jacob wants to steal the blessing of the firstborn, which oftentimes, especially in this culture during this time, and even is commanded, is to sacrifice your firstborn to God. Kind of the same idea as you give the first of your crops to God. What the fuck kind of God? See how close it is, like giving the first of your crops give to God. Now, if we replace God with society, and the philosopher, sociologist Emil Durkheim posited that religion is nothing more, which could be said to be reductionist, but and it compared it to, said it equated it with the deification of society. You can see this Yahweh God, which originally was like perhaps the thunder god, like had it, or even Eastern, a volcano god. Talks about like pillar of smoke, loud thundering noises, spewing fire, salt. That's just interesting pondering. So, is this whole story about Jacob stealing the birthright from Esau, Yesu, which is likened to Jesus. Jesus as Esau. Jesus representing Esau. You, Set. Joseph, the Messiah, son of Joseph, is the suffering one. The axis of Virgo, Pisces, Jupiter, Mercury, Jupiter, good father, is the axis of suffering, the suffering servant, who comes first, Pisces, Virgo season. Into Leo, Aquarius, Leo the conquering lion, the return of the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. The tribe of Leo. What a time, what a time. So the annihilation of the soul. I heard about that in Theosophy too. I think just like the personality fades away, then ultimately the soul fades away, and then you're one with the all in cosmic consciousness without losing yourself. Another thing that this Greek Orthodox guy talked about how you don't lose your sense of self separateness, awareness, when you go back to the whole. That, I have to see how that's explained. That's the beauty about the separateness. It's generation of life. It's the genesis. It's the separation. We got Eve doing the separation out of the. That shows how the female did come first, actually. Because female is what? A sex, a gender. And Adam was neither male nor female, but possessed both of them in him as one. Atom Kadmon, an atom. A, not two. Tom. The name Thomas means twin, two. Atom, like atheist, means not God. Or in a crowd like transtheist came across. I talked about that yesterday. Transtheism, I like that. Anyway, like ascending above these ideas of gods and goddesses, which is likened to the planets. Can we ascend out of them? Yes, hopefully. But then the descending back and descending is feminine energy, hence the Holy Spirit descends. This has to do with the constellation Columba and Isis and Nephthys turning into birds and doing a magical dance going up and down the ashlar pole. They have what's the phallic, the obelisk. Now, oh, I just thought about obelisk and Scorpio. That's SC. That scrapes. Has to do with sex. Scorpio. It's they have this stuff coded in our language. Magicians came up with our language, but priests. The English language is something else. German, and Latin. Ah, it's amazing. Now, these are good questions. What does the Aquarian teach in regards to that? It takes an agnostic, non-dogmatic statement on it, encouraging people to dive into these mysteries of life. Use our faculty of rationale without being overly skeptical, without being too gullible. Taking spiritual sovereignty is what the Aquarianism is about, not relinquishing that and saying that some church or religious organization has all the truth and is the arbitrator of such. That is that's Piscean age shit that needs to get wiped away. Aquarius is the rebellious, the breaking out of the cube by going into the center of it. It's like slaying the dragon by going into its belly and then cutting out from within as your own dragon. That's kind of like killing the gods. Theism. You see it, the castration of Uranus by Cronus, Zeus, and then it comes and castrates Kronos. It's time for you to castrate this god, Yahweh! And throw in the ocean, and out of it is birthed Venus. That's profound. Uranus is the heavens, and by cutting off its ability, but it was eating its own children. Dog, that's why they even say the moon is kind of like devourer of souls. Looking, but the church. There's a word. There's a way to interpret church going back to Ceres, and there is myth of Ceres, of cereal, the wheat, the goddess of the harvest, harvesting souls, eating her own children as well. And it relates to the Hans and Gretel story. And the leaving of breadcrumbs behind is, I believe, a reference to the Milky Way. The way. I am the way. Sometimes it's like stolen light. It's the left behind by the stealing of the chariot of the sun when he took the reins and wasn't ready for it. Alright, I'm gonna shut up now.